Hello guys, it is me again, it's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to day 5 of this 12 Days of Christmas challenge that was created by a really good friend of mine on here, Jason, also known as Horrific Nightmares JN. So now that we are on day 5 of this challenge, now basically, if you guys are not familiar with this challenge, basically what this challenge is about is that for 12 days for the month of December, for the month of Christmas, you review one horror film for every 12 days, and it's a Christmas, and every single review that you do is a Christmas-related horror movie. So, I've reviewed the original Silent Night, Deadly Night, I reviewed Christmas Evil, P2, and then I reviewed the original Black Christmas from the 70s. Well, I figured now for day 5, I might as well talk about the remake of the original classic, and of course you can tell by the title already, that's going to be on the remake of Black Christmas that was released in 2006. So I figured this would be a good one to talk about for day 5. So I'm like, you know what, I just came off reviewing the original, why not talk about the remake? Which I know Bronco Juggalo Talks Movies will be, I think he's going to be talking about it, or he already did talk about it, or something like that. I know he's saying that he's going to do the remake first, and then he'll review the original. But I figured, you know what, I figured I'd review the remake as well, because it is, you know, the month of December. And I figured, you know what, just coming off the original Bob Clark classic, why not talk about the remake? Now, the remake was, like I said before, released in 2006, directed by Glenn Morgan. This was the guy who directed Willard with Crispin Glover. And he also was a producer on the first Final Destination movie. And he was also a producer on Final Destination 3. He wasn't a producer on the other ones, though. And I think he also had a hand in some of the X-Files stuff. But, Glenn Morgan, like I said, directed this. He also wrote the film as well. And it was also produced by James Wong and Glenn Morgan, because I know James Wong directed the first Final Destination. Glenn Morgan, I think Glenn Morgan also wrote the screenplay for the first Final Destination movie. But the remake of Black Christmas, first off, getting on to the cast, I mean, well, before I get onto the cast, the basic story is just like with the original film, but more like, unlike the original film though, the remake goes more into detail about Billy, who's the killer. They explain more of his upbringing, his backstory. I'll tell you what, it's a pretty messed up backstory if I say so myself. It's a pretty crazy, messed up upbringing this guy had. You know, they talk more about, you know, how he was born with his liver disease and it made his skin yellow, and how his mother hated him and she locked him in the attic for a while, and things going on with the husband. And then, like, you know, one day you get to like one of the most gruesome deaths in the movie. It's probably my favorite gruesome death in the movie is when Billy escapes from the attic and he goes crazy and he kills his mother, and basically he beats her with a rolling pin and takes these cookie cutters and makes cookies out of her own human flesh, and he bakes them in the oven. And then when the cops come by, he's eating the cookies, dipping the cookies in the milk and eating them. Really gross close-up shot of his mouth, eating the cookies, but it's really made of her flesh. It's really nasty stuff. But then that's when he gets sent to the mental asylum. Many years later, he escapes, and then it gets to the whole thing just like the original film, where you have a bunch of sorority girls, and then they start getting picked off one by one by the killer. Now, going on to the cast itself, you have, for the sorority girls, you have Katie Cassidy, who went on to be on the Arrow TV show, I think Black Canary on the Arrow TV show. She's also the daughter of the late great David Cassidy from the Partridge Family. You also have Michelle Trachtenberg, who you might remember from, you know, the Harriet the Spy from Nickelodeon. She was in, she's been in quite a Euro Trip. She's been in a couple of other films too. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who was Wendy in Final Destination 3. She was also in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. She was Lucy McLean in Live Free or Die Hard. She's been in a lot of stuff. She's also going to be in the upcoming Birds of Prey movie. Lacey Chabert, who you might remember from Mean Girls, among others. And also, you have Andrea Martin from the original film coming back to play the mother of the sorority house, pretty much. So that's pretty cool how they got her from the original film to come back. Because I know on the trivia, Glenn Morgan talks about how he either wanted Andrea Martin or Margot Kidder to play the motherly figure. And he ultimately got Andrea Martin to be like an homage to, to bring back somebody from the original film, which I thought was a cool touch. So they got someone back from the original film. But unlike the original Black Christmas, this one is more of a just gory slasher film. Like the original Black Christmas was kind of a more implied slasher where you didn't really see the killer much. It wasn't really like it wasn't like a gory, gross out movie. While this one is more of a go all for it, go for the kitchen sink kind of like horror film. Where you have a lot more blood, a lot more kills. Eyeballs getting squeezed out and eaten. Ice skates getting ice skates to the head. Things like that. I mean, it's a pretty gruesome stuff. The mom getting the cookie cutter stuff. I mean, it's pretty gross stuff. But I think the gore effects in this film are really, really well done. I want to see who did the effects. I don't know who did the effects on this movie. I'm trying to look for who did the effects. Doesn't say. And for some reason it's not saying who did like the gore effects, but I think whoever did them did a really good job. I think the gore effects are pretty well done. And I like the cast as well. I mean, I like this group of these actresses. I like Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I like Lacey Chabert. It's cool seeing Andrea Martin from the original film. And I remember on top of that too, Glenn Morgan talks about how him and Bob Clark were really good friends, and Bob Clark gave, I guess, Glenn Morgan his blessing to do a remake, and Bob Clark was actually managed to see this movie before Bob Clark passed away. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't know what Bob Clark's thoughts are on the film, because I didn't read up anything about that, so I can't say whether he liked it or not. I don't know. All I know is that he got a chance to see the film before he passed away. And I know Bob Clark originally, after this film flopped and it was a financial critical failure, basically Bob Clark had the idea of like doing a follow-up to the original film where you had John Saxon coming back and things like that, but that whole idea got scrapped when, unfortunately, Bob Clark was killed by that drunk driver. So that idea was scrapped and never seen again. Which is a shame, because I really would have liked to have seen that. But, I think the remake of Black Christmas, I'm one of the only few that thinks this is a pretty good remake. I mean, nowhere near as good as the original Black Christmas, because you really can't top the original Black Christmas. And before I get on to more of it, let me take a drink real quick. Sip of my iced tea. There we go. Ain't nothing like homemade iced tea. But basically, I think, like I said before, this remake. I think this remake works well. I like this group of actors. I like Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I like the killer of Billy Lenz. I like the actor who plays him. I like his voice. You're my family now. Has that really creepy voice. And also, he has like a sister named Agnes, who's also one of the killers as well. But it works well. I mean, I like the actors. I think it's directed very decently by Glenn Morgan. I like the gore. That's like my favorite part of the movie is the gore. I mean, just a lot of blood. It's just cheesy fun. And I know on this DVD too, this is the unrated version. There's 3 alternate endings, and quite frankly, I like the ending they went with in the theatrical version, like the one that went to theaters. Because like the alternate endings, you have one alternate ending where the character of Katie Cassie's character gets a call on the phone implying that Agnes and Billy are still alive. You have another one where the second alternate ending was actually used in the UK release of this movie, where you have the one character of Kristen Cloak, who plays Lee, who goes to the coroner's office to view Agnes's body, but then when she finds out it's one of the other girls' bodies, and Agnes escaped, and Billy died from his injuries, and then that's when Agnes kills Lee, and then Katie Cassie's character kills Agnes, and then that's when her parents pick her up from the hospital. That was actually the ending that was used in the UK version. And then you have a third alternate ending where a bunch of these morticians try to view this Billy's body, but then you find out that Billy escaped and things like that. I like the ending that they use in the theater version much better, where Katie Cassie's character is in the hospital, and her and Billy have like a final standoff, and then she just pushes Billy off the stairwell, and he just falls and just gets impaled on the top of a Christmas tree. I like that ending much better. So I'm glad they went with that ending. But overall, I really do enjoy this remake. It's bloody. It's really gory. It's got some good gross out moments. I mean, if you're a fan of gore, I say it's worth a look. It's directed very decently. I like the actors. And overall, I do enjoy the remake, but it ain't nowhere near as good as the original Black Christmas. But anyways, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Alright guys, take care.